Well. This is the game and the episode I have been waiting for the past 8 months since I took over this channel of Locked On Blues, and it is finally happening as the St. Louis Blues are getting ready to host the Philadelphia Flyers. I'm going to tell you all about this game coming up here on Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things St. Louis Blues. And today we have a very special episode here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Sometimes when the St. Louis Blues go against teams, I get different people to come on and to be a voice of reason for the other team, kind of like a crossover. Well, we're doing a crossover within myself. Okay, so I know I'm going to get some comments that are going to be like, Haley, what is going on here? And I'm going to explain, but I want to talk about the Blues and Flyers today, pregame show, keys to success for the St. Louis Blues and the Philadelphia Flyers, of course. And they're actually very similar teams. Before I dive deeper into things, I do want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Okay, so let me just explain about myself because this has been a topic that I have been avoiding for quite a while. Many of you know I live in Philadelphia, and if you follow me on any type of social media besides the Lockdown Blues page, you know that I am a reporter for the Philadelphia Flyers. So, yes, when worlds collide, you can run, but you can't hide. And I'm honest about that. I love hockey. I did a hockey podcast on all 32 teams initially and got presented an opportunity to do the St. Louis Blues podcast. And I enjoy the Blues. You know how like people always say they have a team out in the other conference that they enjoy? That's always been me with the Blues. The Blues have always been my Western team, so to say. So for me, I've always been a fan of the Blues, but also the Flyers are my hometown team and the team that I also go to the games and do some reporting on. So this is the perfect episode if you want knowledge on both teams because Blues hockey is my life and so is Flyers hockey. And I'm very honest about that. So this has definitely been something that I have been looking forward to. And I know I'm going to get comments, oh my God, you're such a fake fan. Like, you suck. I know that's coming and I've embraced it all today. But anyways, I want to talk about the St. Louis Blues and the Philadelphia Flyers and what I expect to see on the ice tonight. So that was my little rant about how I'm involved with both teams. So the St. Louis Blues just came off of an overtime loss to the Boston Bruins. Again, the refs sucked in that game, and I want to reiterate that. The refs absolutely sucked in the game. I don't think Hazy's goal should have been called offsides, but it was. And they still got the point, though. The Flyers just came off of a 2-0 shutout win against the Winnipeg Jets, so a really big win for Philadelphia. Both of these teams, they had a really bumpy start to the season, so to say, where no one really expected much out of them. And now both of them are kind of making heads turn because the Blues, they've been beating some of the really good teams. They also beat the New York Rangers, and they've been proving that they can be successful on the ice. I think for tonight's game, and this is something that cracks me up. Both of these teams suck on the power play, but have recently been making adjustments to the power play within the past week, which is really funny with how timing works. But as soon as Drew Bannister was like, okay, we're going to change up the power play, Philadelphia did the same thing. They also got Jamie Drysdale, who will not be playing tonight. He is still out due to sickness. So Sean Couturier for Philadelphia and Jamie Drysdale, they're both out. So this is an advantage for the Blues as Jamie Drysdale really has added in the 2 games that he's played some speed to that power play unit, and he's kept it in the offensive zone for Philadelphia. But the St. Louis Blues are coming off of a game where they got 2 power play goals against the Bruins. So their power play definitely is clicking, and that is something that's been so frustrating all season, is not having anybody by the net for those rebounds. And now I feel like they're finally doing that. So for the Blues, at least, I think that this will be an advantage for them tonight with their power play unit, as they have been really successful. But Philadelphia has also come off of 5 games of consecutive power play goals. So will they continue that tonight? I guess time will tell. But it is interesting to me that both of these teams did shake up their power play, and I think it's ironic. I think it's funny. There's a lot that just makes me kind of laugh when I think about these two teams. But I'm also going to talk to you right now about the Blues' projected lineups for tonight, because there is some changes happening. Okay. So for your first line, obviously it's our boy Robert Thomas, and he is going to be winged by Pavel Buchnevich and Jordan Kyrou. That's been pretty consistent as of lately, and I really enjoy that first line. I think that's the most dominant line. Usually the first line is the most dominant line, but that line seriously has been killing it. And then in the second, we have Braden Shen, the former Philadelphia Flyer, who is now the captain of the Blues. And he's going to be winged by Jake Neighbors. And Jake Neighbors has been playing a lot better. He's been scoring again, so thank God for that. And he will be winged by Kasperi Kapanen. Then the man of the hour, it's Kevin Hayes. He will be centered tonight in the third line, and he will be winged by Braden Saad and Alexei Torchenko. And then, of course, in that fourth line, we have Oscar Sundquist, and he will be winged by Nathan Walker and Sammy Blais. On defense tonight, we have Nick Leddy and Colton Parayko for the first pair. Second pair, we have Torrey Krug and Justin Folk. And then in that third pair, we have Scott Perunovich and Matthew Kessel. And tonight, as I predicted, it will be Joel Hofer, who argumentatively, this might be a little bit of an unpopular opinion. I do think that it's okay. Don't be mad at me. I do think Hofer has been having a better season. I don't know why. I just feel like he's been consistent. Again, opinion to their own, each their own. I just really think that I would trust Hofer more than that. I know. I love Binnington. I do. I just think that Hofer's been dominant, and happy about that. And yeah, so the centers of the second and third line both were former Philadelphia Flyers. Obviously, Kevin Hayes. This will be the first time he's going against his former team. So I'm interested to see how he will be doing. I wonder if they're going to try to feed him the puck tonight, try to maybe get him to get a goal against his former team. I don't necessarily know, but yeah, this is awesome. It's funny, but at the end of the day, it is one of those things where you kind of like the drama sometimes between a former player and a former team. So at least for me, I am very interested to see how that goes down tonight. So I'm going to tell you about the Flyers and their projected lineups. Obviously, this is a crossover episode with myself. So do you expect any less not to have me, talk about both teams again? I explained this, so let's do this. So for Philadelphia, I'm just cracking up so much because this is seriously one of the funniest things. But right now, this looks like their projected lineup. So in that first line, you have Morgan Frost, and he will be winged by Owen Tippett and Travis Konechny. Travis Konechny is the guy that Philadelphia sent into the All-Star game. He's had quite a season and probably the best player on the team. And then in that second line, you have Scott Laughton, and he will be winged by Tyson Forster and Garnet Hathaway. On that third line, you have Ryan Poehling, winged by Joel Farabee and Cam Atkinson. He was almost Cam Atkinson the other night against the Winnipeg Jets, but that empty netter did not go in. And then on that fourth line, Noah Cates makes his return back to the ice tonight at Enterprise, and he will be winged by Nick Delorier and Bobby Brink. Then in defense, for our defensive pairings, we have Cam York and Travis Sanheim. And then there's Nick Steeler and that Sean Walker combo that's been oddly working. And I think a lot of people were quite surprised that those two were able to play really good, consistent hockey with each other. And then finally, the third pairing, you have Igor Zamola and you have Rasmus Ristolainen. And then tonight for Philadelphia, it is going to be Carter Hart. I thought it was going to be Sam Ersson, especially after coming off of that 35 save shutout win against the Winnipeg Jets. But nope, it is going to be Carter Hart starting in net. So I guess you can call him Starter Hart. So that is about what's going on tonight's game. I'm going to talk about the keys to success coming up. But first, I want to tell you about something that is always successful, at least for me, and my lovely experience using it, and that is FanDuel. The NFL regular season is wrapping up, but there's still time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's number one sports book. Right now, new customers get 150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's 150 bucks in bonus bets, win or lose. The app is so easy to use, and there's so many different ways to bet, like live same game parlays. You can find bets in the new Explore tab. Make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, and it is the best way to find the most popular parlays and more. So visit fanduel.com/locked on and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. And if you were to bet, listen, by the time this episode comes out, you can bet on some Monday Night Football. Obviously, you're not going to take the money line for the Eagles or Bucks. Anything could happen. But what you can do, you can probably record the fact that Jalen Hurts is going to throw over 200 yards. Even though it should be a run game, you can still always bet the over on that one. And then you can bet that Baker Mayfield will throw an interception. Other than that, be careful with your betting for football, at least for tonight. So, keys to success. For St. Louis, I would say the biggest keys to success, honestly, and this is for Philadelphia too, it's whoever gets that first goal is going to be the team that probably will win. Both of these teams, and I'm going to talk about this too, about how they're very similar, but both of these teams are really similar with how they've been playing this season. Usually, the team that scores that first goal is the team that wins. Now, I do have to say, Philadelphia is better on the road. And I know what you're going to say. Oh, well, the Blues are better at home. And that is true. And I just feel like right now, these two teams, they have a lot of momentum going into this game. This is Philadelphia's last game in the Central Division road trip. And this is, the Blues have been at home for a little while with this Metropolitan back and forth. So this is their last game of this home slate. I just feel like both of these teams are going to put their all in, especially with all the drama with Kevin Hayes. And I feel like he has something to prove. And it's one of those games where I do think this is going to be a very dominant game by both teams. It's not going to be a blowout from one team to another. I don't think it's going to be a shutout either. But I do think this is going to be very competitive hockey. I've said this before. I was actually co-hosting Locked On Flyers yesterday, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. So you can check that out with Russ Cohen and I. So that's up on YouTube and live. But I was saying to Russ, having a perspective on both teams, it is insane how similar they have been. And I mentioned this before, but with both of them improving that power play unit, they really well could both be up and coming power play teams. Now, I don't want to get too ahead of myself. I understand, the rankings and the power play, and I understand that there's a lot of teams that are a lot better than them. But if you just take the past couple of games from both of these teams, you could argue that they're one of the best power play teams in the NHL. But I know that's not how rankings work at all. I do think, though, that Robert Thomas and Travis Konechny, so RT from the Blues and Konechny from Philadelphia, are similar players where they're kind of like the backbone of the team. And they're the goal scorer. They're the guy that usually sets up the plays. They're a little bit more aggressive. So I do feel like if you're comparing two players, those are the two players to look out for tonight. But I did mention that I think Kevin Hayes is going to try to prove something tonight. So if he's getting fed the puck tonight, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I think that, Hayes had a great game against the Bruins, Boston, where he's from. And now he's playing against his former team where he was involved with all this drama. So I would not be surprised if Kevin Hayes balled out tonight. Is that a term that we use in hockey too? Fun fact. So our coach, Drew Bannister of the St. Louis Blues, used to be the coach of Morgan Frost of the Philadelphia Flyers for 3 years. And there's so much connection between these two teams, and it's crazy. So that's why when I got this position of doing Lockdown Blues, I just found it funny because the St. Louis Blues and the Philadelphia Flyers have just a crazy amount of connection. But the one thing everyone's been asking me today, Haley, who do you think is going to win? And when I get asked that question, I just want to hide behind a wall because I know that it's going to create some controversy for no matter what I say. So let's be neutral, okay? Because that's what sometimes, sports broadcasting, sports reporting is. You have to have opinions, some takes that are more neutral and unbiased. If I'm going off of the team that I think is the better team heading into tonight's contest, it is the Philadelphia Flyers. And here's the thing, the Blues very well could win. But if I think there is a team that needs this win more, I would say it's St. Louis because they need points right now. Philadelphia, I mean, they're gaining those points. They've been beating good teams, but St. Louis, we're falling behind on points, especially with passing the midway point of the season. So if there's a team that I think needs it more, it's St. Louis. If there's a team that I think that's coming in tonight's contest, that's the better team, it's the Philadelphia Flyers. But again, the Flyers, and it's so Flyer-like for them to beat some of the best teams in the league and choke against teams that maybe aren't as good as the best teams. I mean, they did lose to the San Jose Sharks. I know the Blues did too, but they were the first team that lost to the San Jose Sharks. So I'm just saying anything is possible. You know what else is possible? Gametime. And you can actually get Gametime right now. So it's 100% possible to get Gametime. You shouldn't have to worry when you buy tickets to your next big event. Gametime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you with killer last minute deals, all in prices and views from your seat and your best price guaranteed. Gametime takes that guesswork out of buying tickets. So you can get those last minute tickets with flash deals and zone deals and so much more. My favorite thing about Gametime is that you're getting the lowest price guaranteed. You have event cancellation protection and job loss protection as well. So Gametime truly does have the customer's best interests, and that's what I like most about Gametime. Because I'm only 5'2", sometimes being a short girl like myself, I can't always see. But with Gametime, I can always see the view from my seat before I even buy the ticket. So if I'm sitting in an angle that looks a little bit questionable, I know not to get it because Gametime will show me my view, and then I'll find a seat that is perfect for me and I'll get it. So this is what you have to do. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKED ON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKED ON, LOCKEDON, for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Do you think I would ever come on here and do a crossover episode with myself? I never expected that. Again, leave me some comments in the comments. We're live on YouTube right now, and I would love to answer some of your questions that you have, since my knowledge on both teams is probably the best that it's ever going to be with the Blues going against any opponent until March 4th when the Blues come to Philadelphia, and I will be able to go in the locker room and get some audio from the Blues players themselves. So right now, the one question or something that I'm seeing quite a bit about Kevin Hayes, and do I think he's going to score? I don't necessarily know if he's going to score, but I do think he's going to have a lot of shot attempts tonight. I just see this being a Kevin Hayes revenge game. And I mean, between the two organizations, Philadelphia doesn't really have any reason to have a revenge game, so to say, against St. Louis. It's really just one individual player, and that's Kevin Hayes. He'll be seeing his former head coach, John Tortorella, who said really nice things about Kevin, defended his character after the game the other night to all of us media. And so that will be good. So, yeah, Nathan Walker. We all know it's Nathan Walker's season. I am such a big Nathan Walker fan, the Aussie, obviously. The Aussie, the Aussie, but I am excited about Nathan Walker. So, Dark says, I expect Kevin Hayes to get points tonight. I'm going to show this comment on here. That I can't put that word. You did not see that, especially with all the things. Yeah. I mean, Kevin Hayes, he has reasons to score tonight. He has reasons to try to get points. It's just more the fact of will he? And I don't know if Hayes is I just don't know if he's gonna be able to get that puck behind Carter Hart, to be honest. Carter Hart, I know that a lot of people are making the argument right now, who's better, Sam Ersson or Carter Hart? Honestly, I think Sam Ersson's been really consistent. By the end of the day, Carter Hart is a good goalie, and he's somebody that you should be nervous going against. So I don't know if that's going to happen. I know that Philadelphia fans and a lot of them don't have anything against Kevin Hayes. It was a select few that are saying awful things. So it's not everybody. And I think that Hayes has felt a lot of love and support over the past couple days as well. I know that the whole situation was very tricky. It was very messy, but that's also something else. Sam Ersson, he has been so good in the shootouts. He's had 4 shootout wins, only lost 1 shootout. And he is really good when it comes to OT as well. But Carter Hart, I mean, he's been on it lately. He was sick with an unknown illness. I don't think anyone's going to ever know what exactly happened to him. So he's been playing a lot better. You can kind of tell that he got his groove back on. So he's somebody, as I mentioned again, do not underestimate Carter Hart whatsoever. He is, again, going to give the Blues a run for their money tonight. And it's funny because I really thought for tonight's game it was going to be Joel Hofer and Sam Ersson, the 2 goalies, but it's not. So I'm a little like, I don't say I'm surprised, but I'm definitely like, oh, okay. Things got interesting now that Carter will be in net. And obviously the Flyers being without Sean Couturier, that is another big loss. And also not being with Jamie Drysdale. I know Drysdale has only played 2 games wearing the orange and black, but he's made such a big difference on ice. And only playing 1 game in this road trip, I wasn't shocked that he got sick because of all the traveling and running on fumes. Like, I get what that's like with having to wake up at 4 a.m. for work. So I completely understand that one. But I do think that Philadelphia is still coming into this game better. It's just because they've been clicking. And this is how it is with sports. Sometimes teams get hot, and that's been the Flyers right now. But at the same time, the Blues, I mean, you can't count out that Rangers win. You can't count out, getting a point against the Bruins. You just can't count that out. So I think both of these teams, like if I were to have like a stat or a percentage, I think that the Flyers have like a 55% chance of winning, and the Blues have a 45% chance of winning. And special teams are the way to this game, absolutely. I mean, I did mention that both of these teams are not strong on the power play, but the Flyers are the best team on the penalty kill. The Blues are up there on the PK, but the Flyers are just a lot better on that penalty kill unit. So that's why I'm saying that I would not be surprised if Philadelphia won. But at the same time, it's not going to be shocking if the Blues win either. I think it's one of those games where you have 2 very similar clubs. One of the clubs is playing a little bit better right now than the other club. But, you have these coaches that are not afraid to shake things up. We all know about John Tortorella and how he's not afraid to move things around. Healthy scratch guys that are like, okay, wait, whoa, why are you doing this? We know that John Tortorella is that kind of coach. But we all know that Drew Bannister's come in here, taken over Craig Berube's position, and has been able to make this team more successful. So I wouldn't be shocked either way. I just think that this game, it's not going to be a low-scoring game. It most likely will be a little bit of a high-scoring game, which for me, I kind of would enjoy because I like when games get high-scoring. I don't like low-scoring games. It's boring, and I want high-scoring. But time will tell. Was this the crossover episode that you didn't know you needed? Well, for me, it was. I've been looking forward, as I said in the beginning of this episode, to this game for quite a while now. I think being in the media for the Philadelphia Flyers, doing a podcast where I talk about the St. Louis Blues every single day, I kind of live for these type of moments. And I know that a lot of you have been like, Haley, who are you rooting for? What's going on? And I'm just going to leave it at this. Hockey is the best sport, and it's enjoyable when you're able to really enjoy a game between 2 organizations that you know quite a lot about. So I'm going to leave it at that. You can interpret however you want. Just don't leave any comments where you're like, oh my God, you're a fraud. Because I got a couple of those, and I'm like, am I a fraud? Because if you want to go and put it like that, I do a podcast where I do all 32 teams. So I'm just saying. Anyways, I will talk to you tomorrow for a post-game episode. And as I said, what happens, happens. All right, I will talk to you tomorrow. And like always, let's go Blues.